Today, I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to talk about tech in America's fastest growing sport. So stay tuned. I'm not sure if it's because I've become a man of a certain age, but I have fallen in love with pickleball. And if you're not aware of it, pickleball is America's fastest growing sport. In my town, we are seeing new courts being built and older tennis courts being converted to pickleball. And the growth of products for pickleball has skyrocketed. And today we're going to talk with Josh Brown, founder of Dropshot, a company that is solving one of the most difficult aspects of pickleball, scoring. And if you played pickleball, you know what I'm talking about. So let's talk with Josh about what they are building and why. Welcome, Josh.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. I mean, this is like, I think my family thinks I'm a little crazy because I talk way too much about pickleball. And my daughter's like, this is an old people thing. It's like, I don't play pickleball. You know, they refuse to play with me. You know, it's just but I think it's their loss because I think it's a great game. It's actually a well-designed game. It's something that you can have lots of different skill levels playing. I see the reason it's so popular, you know? But like I mentioned, I often say that pickleball is in many aspects like a drinking game because at each before you serve each time, you have to give your score, your opponent's score, and then whether you're the first server or the second server, right? And for the love of me, I cannot remember the score. If I served last, it's like, you know, I'm like, I've got to take a shot every time or something, you know? So I know that you know, this is all kind of a passion play for you. So I would love to hear about, you know, to start with, just sort of like the whole idea of, you know, following your passion in this day and age, because we have, you know, so many people who are not, you know, doing the thing that makes them excited, makes them fulfilled every day. But it seems like you broke out and did that. So one, we want to hear, you know, like how you escaped the day to day. But then we want to just, you know, hear more about your company and what you do. So tell me about what was the passion that, you know, turned this into a career?
Really love the drinking game. I simply too, because it really is. It's almost like running around the bat with your head on it, spinning around, getting dizzy.
Totally is.
Then you got to try and find your way. That's kind of what it is.
And we all look at each other like, what's wrong with us? You know? Yeah. And sometimes we just like, we go, how about 6 to 8? You know, like,
sure.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine. I have no idea if that's even remotely accurate, but we all agree that's the score now. So we go,
yeah. Do over, we'll do it again. Yeah. So I've always believed that merging passion with purpose is something that's really important. So they gotta have the love for pickleball combined with, I have a background in engineering and technology. So it's like, I can't not do something when I see a problem like that. I have to. It was
well, and you're coming from like nautical engineering too, right?
Yeah, originally, I went to school for ocean engineering, then mechanical engineering, and got into software not too long after that. So kind of have the gamut of
it's a bit of a you know, distance to pickleball from there.
yeah, it is. And you would think that they're not related, but the technology it plays into just about everything. So whenever there's a problem that I see that is solvable with some kind of either software, or in this case it was hardware as well, where there's a physical scoreboard that is also visible for everybody. But the software was where it originally started, and having the Apple Watch app, which is what I started out with just because I have an Apple Watch. So I figured I'd build it for myself. Yeah. And it took off from there. But it starts with passion. Yeah, because without that, it would just be just like you'd have to get paid more for it, really.
So what was your aha moment here? I mean, obviously at some point you were playing pickleball and you're like, the scoring is making me crazy. And then you're like, wait a minute, you know, what was that?
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly where it went. It was after probably the second time we played that, and we just realized how big pickleball had gotten. We show up on like a Tuesday afternoon at this court, and it's packed with people, and I think we were even late to the game for pickleball. It's if it started really getting popular a few years earlier, even than when we got into it, and so it seemed like it wasn't just a problem that we were having. This had to be something that other people were experiencing, and we'd see that that would be the case. We would look around when we're playing, and between every rally, people are pointing to each other like, "Was that your serve? No, it was. I think it was mine."
It doesn't seem like it should be that hard. It really doesn't, but it is so
It
hard.
is. And if it was
It's
just
so
one
fun.
thing you had to keep track of, like the score, it would be easier. But
Right.
having the three things, the score, the serving side, and then the service number. So yeah, the combination makes
Yeah,
it.
because I will also add in, you can't score if you don't have possession, or
Yes.
it's not your serve.
Right.
So it's kind of like volleyball, or something like that in that way. But that adds another layer of complexity.
Exactly. Yeah. Just having all these different things to keep track of in your head does make it a drinking game. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
but it's
Well, and
something that technology could easily solve. It's not even like that there's not the technology to make this problem go away. It's really just something that, oh, we could write a little app that keeps track of it. And then the problem with just an app is that everybody then is saying, "Hey, what's the score again?" And you have to have one person and it's definitely a social sport. So having something that's visible for everybody makes it so that everybody's part of the scoring part. And that's often what you'll hear when what people use to solve the scoring problem is, oh, well, there's four of us. We'll get there eventually, and
right.
that's how it works. But it's yeah.
Tell me how it all works. Okay, so we've talked about there being a scoreboard and Apple Watch and all this. So walk me through Dropshot and what's all in a part of it.
Yeah, so it's the essence of it is that there's a physical scoreboard, an Apple Watch, or a little remote control. If you don't have an Apple Watch, we're working on other operating systems as well. But the remote also works because if you don't want to pass around the watch, or if you want to repair to something else, if it's something like a facility, a pickleball facility where they're going to have these scoreboards, there's not it's not very effective to be pairing watches all the time. So the remote
Right.
fits that need, but it connects with Bluetooth. It has LEDs that are very bright, so that it works even in direct sunlight. Um, yeah, it has lots of other little features, but the essence is that it's a Bluetooth connected scoreboard with extra bright display and connects to your Apple Watch or to a little remote control. And then all of the logic is stored in it. So all you have to do is say, I won the rally, or the other team won the rally, and everything else is handled. It knows, oh, because you were serving and you won that rally, you get the point. Or if it ends, it doesn't switch to server two, and the the people have to switch side. It keeps track of all that, so it takes all of the guesswork out.
So I know there was a lot of challenges to getting this together, and you obviously have an engineering background, but I mean, the thing that's interesting about this is you're sort of stepping into the world of prototyping, a product, industrial design. You're facing. It seems like something so simple, but like you mentioned, it's like this is a product that has to be out in direct sun, so you have to be able to see it even in direct sun. So is that really bright lights, or is that something different, some physical flip card kind of thing? Could you speak to like some of the challenges that you had in designing this product?
Yeah. Oh no, there were no challenges. No, it was easy. We just we just had it one day. It was problem solved. No, there were tons. Yeah. That we started with the first prototype, realized that it wasn't bright enough. A normal scoreboard that you buy on Amazon that's made to keep track of, you could press the button and the score goes up on each side. Uh, Not nearly bright enough. You take it out into the sunlight, completely washes away all the digits. You can't see anything. Um,
Right.
so Yeah, we had to start from that. That was the first prototype, though. Was we'll use what does an existing scoreboard do? We'll just do that.
Right.
Couldn't find anything on the market that would be visible out in the sunlight that was you could actually, because you can't develop something and then say, well, you'll just have to put it in the shade. That's all right though, right? So it had to be something that you
Right.
could keep in the, if the sun went across the sky and it was sitting on that side of the court, that's fine. It'll work. It'll be bright enough.
I suppose you could build it with a little umbrella
That
over it or
was
something, but that,
definitely an
that seems a
idea,
little
but having a
that seems a
shade.
little impractical.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
that was, we talked to optical engineers and they're like, well, why don't you just build a shade over it? That's I mean that's one way to solve it, but yeah, it makes it a little cumbersome then.
Because it's got to be portable too, because this has got to be something that people can throw in a bag and go to any random court that they're going to, right?
Exactly. Yeah, putting it in the backpack, throwing it on the ground next to the court or hanging it on the fence.
So it needs durability
Yeah,
too.
durable, waterproof, bright in the sunlight. Battery needs to last all day. The Bluetooth has to be strong enough. Yeah, there was a long list, a laundry list of features that we needed to check the boxes for. Because pickleball, it had to be easier. That was also the biggest thing. It couldn't. It
Right,
has to
right.
be. You can't be futzing around with your watch or like with making the like adding the players or undoing a score if you entered it wrong. Or it had to be easier than that communication that happens before, like, oh, was it easier than that? So
Right,
it,
right.
adding something and then it's more complicated, it's not going to work. So yeah, that was an important ingredient.
You mentioned you talked to some optical engineers because because you ended up going with the bright light approach, right?
Yes.
But there's a lot to that as well. Could you kind of speak to like some of the thinking that went in around that too?
Yeah, yeah. So we went through lots of different prototypes and different examples. There's a cool technology called like flip dots, which is kind of what you'd see in like if you imagine those old train
Alarm
stations.
clocks?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
train station.
yeah, where it's like the segments all flip open and close, and those are actually perfect for an outdoor situation because it uses the sun against it. There's no light. It'll just have
Right.
a reflective thing on those segments and you can see them from far away and the battery doesn't ever run out and all that good stuff. But
Right.
the problem is they're mechanical, they're prone to break. You can't throw that in your bag and
Hope for the
expect it
best.
to, yeah, like those things are
Yeah.
spring loaded and something's going to break. So that, and they're really
Yeah.
expensive.
Well, I can imagine it's like a lot of mechanical pieces in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go with the bright light approach, and there's a lot of different ways to do bright lights, right? Can
Yes.
you talk about like how the thinking in that goes?
We played with the idea of these LED matrix, where kind of, it looks like one of those, you probably seen them in like a cleaner, like a, a, a tailor. They'll have these outside their store for like open or closed, or like a sign that just has, you
Right.
can almost write something on that. And that, it kind of gives that vibe of like open, closed store front sign. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, it worked to an extent that, and it's not super customizable in the sense that if you wanted to have brighter LEDs than what came with the product, then you're going to have to build a custom LED panel. We ended up then going with LED technology that the first experiment with the custom LEDs was they use them in gas station, the price signs where you'll see it.
Okay.
So they're great for that because they're made to be outdoors. They're super
Right.
bright. Some of the problems with that is that they're super bright, but only from usually a viewing angle that's kind of narrow. You have to be in front of it,
Right.
and we have to have a viewing angle that's also something that you could be next to it, and it's just as
Right.
bright as if you're right in front of it. So there's some challenges with the implementing of those LEDs, especially because when you see those gas station LEDs, you usually see an individual LED. It's not like a solid segment that you'd see on an alarm
Right.
clock or something like that. So a lot of engineering went into the reflective layer that would bounce the light in between the segment, plus the diffusion layer on top of that, plus to make it appear black. It has to look good as well. We can't just have something that
Right.
looks functional. It has to be looking good too. So a black surface that has just magically digits popping out of them in crisp, solid segments. That was the look we were going for. So it took a lot of engineering to get there.
Well, and I imagine, it'll evolve over time too. Um, but I think I do want to mention, so this was created via Kickstarter
Yes.
initially, right? I mean, and so your Kickstarter was, as if I'm not mistaken, was yesterday.
Yeah, we launched
correct?
it yesterday. It goes for another 29 days, but
it sold out in 30 minutes.
Yeah,
you hit your goal in 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a great. Yeah, we went through. There was a process to do a Kickstarter launch as well. We raised a very decent sized following on through social media and gained a lot of a big community of pickleball players, and that was all through while we were developing this product. So we would have a group together that we would get feedback from and pitch ideas on what we should do with the product and get feedback all through this whole very iterative process. Much like any engineering, you gotta throw out an idea, see if it sticks, work on it, and keep going. It's a big loop. So
there's the idea of building in the open. That's kind of a more modern concept. People used to go into a lab and, pop out with a fully baked product. But now I think there's a philosophy around developing in the open and like sharing sort of your iterations so that one, you get early feedback, which can drastically improve the process and the product as you're going. And two, you're getting people rooting for you. You're getting buy-in from the community that's going to be buying this product. So, you're getting that level of excitement. So it's sort of a marketing and, product strategy all in one.
100%. That was the exact philosophy that we had going into this as well. It was a lot of Eric Ries lean startup mentality where at first we didn't know if this was just an us problem. We saw other people kind of experiencing this thing.
That's definitely not just a you problem.
we didn't know that for a fact. We really wanted to know how big this problem was, how many people were, how much people were willing to pay for solving this problem, what kind of solution they were looking for. Is this something that they would want the pickleball facilities to have, or just something they would want to own themselves? Or there's that whole process going from just the idea into even through the iterative prototype process was we'd want to find out from people what is the problem, how do we solve it, is this a good solution?
So when exactly is this going to hit the market? I mean, you're obviously still working on it if it's in Kickstarter mode. So when do you expect to be shipping these?
Yeah, I put the date as June 25 in the Kickstarter for actually having it in your hands. And the mentality behind that is that I don't like it when places will say they really hope, they put their hope date on there.
We'll have it by Christmas.
Yeah, we'll have it by Christmas. No problem. You could put it under the Christmas tree, and then people expect that, and then you get November, and then it's like, where is it? I was planning on giving this as a gift, and now I don't have. So instead of doing that whole dance where you can like sell an early
overpromise, underdeliver.
I really want to underpromise and overdeliver. If I can deliver it sooner, which I really do believe, but I don't want to promise that, because problems always come up that are outside of what you think.
I have been on some Kickstarters that I have forgotten the product even existed or the need for the product even existed by the time the product made it to market.
Well, I'm surprised.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, sometimes it does. And especially if you don't get that feedback throughout the process, I've seen that too, where it just goes away after a while, and you're like, whatever happened to?
No, it's an interesting world, the crowdfunded source. So, all right, so next year people can get one. So if they want to get one, where do they go? Do you go to the Kickstarter? Like, where am I going to go after we have this conversation? Are we
Yeah.
going to the Kickstarter, or do I got to wait? You go look at your website and pre-order there.
Well, yeah, they'll both actually navigate to the same place. So,
Okay.
yeah, the website is godropshot.com. It'll also go there to the Kickstarter page, but there's also a Kickstarter link. I'm sure we can add it into the show notes.
I know this is a terrible question to ask you because you're in the heat of getting this thing
I'm ready
produced
for it.
and going.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I can see so many interesting opportunities to take this in so many different directions. And I know you've had some ideas about, not just score, but stats and things like that you can add in. Can you speak to like where could this possibly go? What are like sort of your future visions and roadmap?
Yeah, so you touched on the stats and everything. So we've built into the application, because we know which team won the rally and everything like that. We get some base stats, but there's also a version of the application that you can turn on a setting that turns on MVP mode, we call it. So after this MVP mode, you can say who won the rally, but then you could also mention who was the last person to hit the ball. And so by knowing that plus who won the rally, it unlocks all kinds of really good statistics about your fault rate, if you have a really good serve, if you're missing it all the time, and then also you can figure out, this team is really good at coming back from a deficit, or this team is really good for the first half and then slows down, but then picks it back up. And you can measure trends like that really, really well with this kind of data. And there's lots of applications after we get this, just the basic statistics going, because you can know when your friends are playing. You can follow along the score on your watch while you're at work because your friend is in the park playing, and you get an alert and you see the live score on what their game is. Yeah, lots of community aspects of this that are really...
Yeah, I could see so many cool community things. I mean, just like like trying to put a game together, even, or knowing when like, oh, my buddy's game is just about to finish. I'll wait, and maybe I can get into another game with them, or it just like it's an incredible amount of stuff. And I know when we were talking earlier, I know we had talked about sort of like doing the vision tracking things,
Yes.
for line calls and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Which is obviously a complicated piece of it, but that is another area that is hotly contested in pickleball.
Is, yeah, and the line calling is great, and where to mount the camera is a little tricky on that, but there's some companies out there that have really gotten a really great head start, especially ones that started with tennis. And it's a similar concept with the lines and calling them in and out. With we have the remote control that we actually designed to be on the grip of so it's a little tiny remote control, and we've developed it so that it can be mounted onto the grip of the pickleball paddle. So
at the bottom
right
of it,
at the bottom, yeah, as you're holding it. I don't have a paddle here, but so with a little silicone sleeve, holds onto your paddle, and it's super light. It hardly weighs anything, and so it's a great sensor. Then if you have the accelerometer on it, so it has the buttons that with like different feels on them, so you don't have to look at the buttons to know if it's A or B and which team won the rally. So you don't have to look at it. It's a great place to keep the remote. There's a clip on it. You can like clip. The clip comes off. You can mount it to anything, your wrist, to an armband or anything. But the
wrist might be a safer bet, because I know like the other problem with pickleball, the rules are governed by multiple different organizations.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're all kind of fussy in a different way.
Yes. Yeah. We've looked at the rules on modifications to paddles, and it seemed like this was a legit place to put it. And if you're in a tournament, you probably have somebody else handling. If there's a referee or something anyway. But yeah, for everyday play, if you put this on your paddle and you measure the accelerometer, your swing strength, the ball speed, how you spin, because you can get the angle, you can get So all kinds of really good data if you just have a little sensor on there as well.
That's really interesting. I mean, because like there's a lot of aspects of playing the game, like getting a lot of top spin and things like that. Like that. Just even saying, hey, your angle is just a little off, could vastly improve your game.
Exactly.
I'm going to all sorts of crazy places with this in my head now.
No, that's
giving me accelerometers and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we already have an accelerometer in the board so that you can, when it's sitting upright, the digits are displaying one way, and it has little feet on the back so that you can the feet come out.
Let's see what you got there.
So the feet come out. You could set it on the ground, right? But the feet double as a hook. So when you hang it upside down,
so you can hang it like a fence.
On a fence, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's an accelerometer in there so that when you change the position, the numbers automatically switch sides. So even in mid game, if you wanted to just change the position of it, you just.
So have you been using it yourself? Is it like when you go out and you play, you bring this thing with you, and everybody's like, "Hey, what's that?"
Yeah, it turns a lot of heads, and the attention that it gets is amazing. And that was the whole. You should have seen our first prototypes. We had with the gas station LEDs, and we'd bring it to the court, and people would be like, "Whoa, what is that?"
But like, what is that? A bomb?
Yeah. Oh man, I had a great story about bringing one on a plane because I'd just bring it with me when this was the prototype, and it had the battery and the wire sticking out of the version with the gas station lights. And oh man, yeah,
I can imagine that was a little tricky.
They don't know what that is, but it's just a bunch of numbers and wires coming out of thing in your bag.
I tend to fly with a lot of computer gear and photo gear and stuff like that, so there's cables going everywhere. So I get patted down, every once in a while myself. Right. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, they let me take it eventually, but
I gotta say, this is super cool stuff. I'm excited. I really feel the need to have one of these, desperately. What you also need probably is like for places where there's like no good place to hang it, or like having it on the ground is maybe something that you can't see well. Maybe like a stand that comes with it too.
Yeah, a tripod. Yeah. And mounting the little, because just like a camera with the little threaded rod on the end so that you can mount it onto anything. Yeah, we've been playing with that idea as well. Because you just need a little plate on the inside that would have the drilled hole with the thread, just to have a hole on the outside that you can mount it to any existing tripod.
Once you've got this going, you could start, making it adaptable to other sports as well. It doesn't just have to be pickleball. I mean, pickleball is a great market segment and probably the only one you ever need.
It is, but it is possible. Yeah, we've been the patent pending is not just limited to pickleball. It's any kind of sport with this technology that you could use.
Any kind of racket sport, or not even.
Yeah, people have been interested in a lot of other. I mean, I think pickleball is probably the most. It's growing, and I love playing it.
The timing's perfect.
Yeah, so it's
and the problem is real. The pain is real.
Problem, the pain is very visceral. I I feel it very, very seriously.
You can have another version it's like it just shows question marks, and then you got to guess the score. And if you guess wrong, you got to take it pours you a shot, and you got to take it.
Maybe we can still introduce this drinking game part of it. We don't have to lose the drinking game part.
Yeah, no. I want royalties on it, though.
Absolutely.
No, you can have that one for free because I think that the world deserves the drinking game. Well, I got to say, I'm excited about this. I can't wait. June of 2025 seems like a really long way away right now, but I'm hoping for an earlier delivery. But hey, same. You know what? I just want to thank you for coming on and talking about all this. I think it's cool to hear your journey. Just coming out of nautical engineering and figuring out how to navigate the whole process of building a product, getting it made, getting it, shipped out and, all that. I think that's very cool. And I love to see people who kind of follow their passion and make a living doing it. And I'm always excited about stories like that. So that's really fun to hear. So thanks so much for building this. I can't wait to ultimately use it. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. It's great to be on the show. I love the people that you bring on. I always learn something. It's super
Thanks.
informative and actionable, and yeah, I love it. Keep going.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts about pickleball in the comments below. And if you could give us a like, think about subscribing, and share this with a friend. And I will see you in the next one.